Welcome. I'm Jim Meyers, Senior Vice President and Managing Director of Content for MX. As many of you know, MX has been in business over 30 years, helping B2B companies and manufacturers in particular become more successful and grow their business. So today we're here to talk about not only the B2B business, manufacturing business, but also to talk about how content marketing can play an important role in that. And that's because MX is not only one of the largest B2B agencies in the country, but it's probably the only B2B agency in the country that has a large content marketing practice as well. So with that, let's talk a little bit about those different opportunities. You know, Patrick, one of the areas that we've seen a lot of interest in by manufacturers is in thought leadership. Clearly, thought leadership is a big advantage to a business and to a brand. And so let's talk a little bit about that and what you've seen in that area.
Yeah, of course. So one of the things that we've seen across all B2B categories is that the sales cycle is getting longer and longer. It's much more complex. There are more people involved in it. And that's magnified here in manufacturing. The products that we're marketing, they are big, they're complex, they're expensive, they can be make or break for a company. So they need to feel like the people that they're hearing from are just as invested in this as they are. So they need to feel like they have a relationship with those brands. But the fact is that 70% of the sales cycle happens before they reach out to a brand, before they make that initial contact. So we need to build that relationship in that time. And if we can build some trust in our expertise and, our leadership in the category, that's going to help us in that 70% period. And once they're in that last 30%, then we're able to win that part.
Great.
Yeah, it's an interesting point, Patrick, because I get it fully, but then there's another opposing force of all this, which is the beauty of ROI, right? Because we're talking about long lead cycles and having an impact with an audience before the metric shows up, typically in this period, right? And so it's really important that relationships are built internally at the marketer's org, CMO, CFO kind of relationships, so that we can understand the balance of short-term versus long-term. Because we kind of need to drip on this audience, to your point, well ahead of them being in the mode to buy. Otherwise, you're just asking for content or really any marketing to do too much. Just the world's evolved and we've got to get there as well. And part of the manufacturing world has been a little bit slow to adopt, if I'm being pretty frank.
Yeah, I definitely think there have been questions about ROI, right? From everybody, from every sector. I think manufacturing is no different. Where I do think there is a case to be made is this idea that, you can hit people across the whole buying cycle with content. So there's a report from Demand Gen report that says 70% of B2B buyers engage with multiple pieces of content as they make their decisions. So that's really points to the need for more of an omnichannel approach where you can, maybe somebody wants to take in a podcast while they walk the dog, or they want to kick back and watch a long form video, or maybe they're just scrolling and stop and engage with the brand on social. Anyway, the point is that you're trying to really reach that customer with the information they want, where they want, and when they want it. And then it appears really authentic and that connection is made. But I think too, this is a benefit for the marketer because it's efficiency play, right? You can, by creating that one piece of core content, you can slice and dice that all across. You can have one big long form video that you turn into a social post that maybe is a blog article or whatever that looks like, but you're hitting them at multiple points along that way as they make the decision.
Yeah, good points. It's really about having a cogent strategy that everything hangs from. Because we need to be reactive in the marketplace. Yep. We understand that. But to your point of, slicing and dicing or atomization of content, then it becomes efficient in its creation. You can get metrics through other channels, and then knowing that it might not result in a sale downstream, you can measure things like engagement, shares, and things like that help those buying committees sort of have brands become more resonant with them in the organic way that is sort of the only way to operate these days. Because if you're not authentic, you're toast, because the world will sniff it out and then you're dead to me.
Yeah, and too often as you talk about ROI, we've seen companies and brands who create one piece of content and it just lives in one space. Yeah. And when we look at content marketing, we're looking at planning in advance that content is going to be produced in multiple formats. It is going to go through multiple channels to their customers and their audiences, and that drives the ROI factor up. So they've made an investment in content, and now they're getting more out of it.